Hi, my name's Neil. I sing for the rock band Clutch, and you are watching Livemusic TV.
What's this about limits? Sorry, I don't know none.
Our goal with this record was to make a very efficient and aggressive record. And because of that, it allowed us to cut off a lot of fat. And I think ultimately that helped. Because sometimes when you write a riff for the first time, you fall in love with it and you want to play it 64 times when you really should only be doing it 4. And that gave us the opportunity to be more reasonable about some ideas instead of being self-indulgent on some parts. Usually it just starts with one line. And if that one line I find it to be intriguing enough, then I just kind of try to build a story around it, and I treat it as a fiction. That gives me the liberty to say whatever I want, and I'm not an expert on anything. I just take complete poetic license with it. When I sit down purposefully to write, and I put a blank piece of paper in front of me, nothing ever happens. What usually happens is something will just pop into my head, and I'll have to record it into my phone or jot it down on a piece of paper, or hopefully I'll tell myself I remember it, but that never happens. You know, for example, in the song Electric Worry, the chorus is bang, 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 vamonos, vamonos. That was something Tim said off the cuff. We were talking about how so many Japanese clothing lines had ridiculous English phrases on it. And he said, yeah, like bang, bang, vamonos. And that just stuck into my head. And then when the time came to write that song, that was sort of the genesis of it. So they come from everywhere.
Everybody get the message!
Maybe peculiar is not the right word, but it was different in the past 3 albums that we've done. It was most like Blast Tyrant, and that Machine did that record as well. And he has a way of working where the main focus is first on pre-production, where you basically write the record note for note, and you do a demo of it. Everything from tempo to beginnings to ends, the lyrics, and that gives us the luxury of going into the studio not worrying about remembering any parts, because you already know the parts because you've made that decision. You worry about performance. The weird thing about that, though, is everybody does it separately. Jumpel did all his tracks and then went home, and then Dan did his tracks and went home, and then Tim and I overlapped a little bit, but it wasn't until the very end that I heard everything. So we had to take a lot on faith, but since we've been working together for over 20 years, I think we assumed we all were going to do our parts. And live is a much better proving grounds for a song than a studio can ever hope to be.
I'm a sucker, no evil, and this I want to hear it from you.
I think one of the most brutal crowds we ever played for, believe it or not. And keep in mind, we've opened for Slayer, Pantera, Iron Maiden, Motorhead, Sepultura. Great crowds. Awesome response. But one time we did a one-off and we opened for Nickelback. And that crowd was the most vicious, bloodthirsty crowd we've ever stood in front of. And there were families, literally grandfather, granddaughter, teams hurling any objects that they could find at us. And to this day, that was the most violent reaction we've ever received from a crowd. Which is ironic because you don't think of Nickelback fans as being particularly violent, but we evoked some kind of inner, I don't know, primal rage out of these people. You have to treat playing music almost like a religion. You have to, you can't expect it to be a quick path to anywhere. It has to be your life. And I think that the basis of that would be playing live. Sure, yeah, get a web page. That's great, but do that when after you've done some shows and done the terrible shows and been told you sucked. You have to have that, I think, in order to just kind of get a taste of it. And if your music is good as you know it is, people will come and want to hear it. And it's really quite simple. I mean, people have been wanting to hear good music for tens of thousands of years. It's not going to change as long as you play it live. That's the only advice I have is just play live and take a chance.
If I had to do it over, I'd do it just the same.
2013, a lot of miles, well, kilometers over here. just touring on this record, long support. We're probably going to come back and do festivals in the summertime. I would expect us to do a kind of proper headlining UK and European tour towards the end of, maybe in the autumn, because that'll be the first time we'll have the opportunity to do that, because we're also doing 2 legs in the United States. And that'll take us right up to a year from here, which is kind of spooky to know what your next year is going to be, but that's what it is. And hopefully, I'd like to turn out a new record quicker than 3 years, you know, between this one and the next one. So keep the momentum up. A lot of shows.
Everybody get the message. Hoo-ha!